Wednesday. The week's almost half over. And that's exciting, Dan Murrell, because then it's the weekend. And you're traveling, and I'm traveling, and you're here today.
I'm not traveling this weekend.
Well,
I'll be traveling soon.
You'll be traveling soon. I'm traveling. But what's more exciting about today is not only do we have 2 trailers to talk about and Avengers news, we have these amazing panelists to talk with us about these things. Ed Greer is here.
Hey.
Yay! Vanessa Gritton is here. Welcome. Have you been on the show that I have not been here? Or is this your...
Yeah, this is my second time.
Second time? Yeah. Well, welcome back.
Thank you
for joining us today. I'm excited to talk about the things. We just saw the trailers. We will be getting to the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood trailer. We will also be talking about Stranger Things. Yep. But let's first talk about those Avengers. So, fake trailer news. There's, I'm so sorry.
It was right there. It was right there.
I should probably leave. I should probably leave, right? So the Russos have confirmed that the Avengers trailers for Endgame, in fact, have fake footage to throw us off the scent of what is to come. There was a lot of speculation that they were only showing footage from the first 15 minutes of the film, but not only that, maybe it's even fake footage from the first fake 15 minutes of the fake film. We don't know. This was in an interview with Empire Magazine. Joe Russo explained that Anthony and he would use the material that we have, quote, use the material that we have at our disposal to create a trailer. We look at the trailer as a very different experience than the movie. And I think audiences are so predictive now that you have to be very smart about how you craft a trailer, because an audience can watch the trailer and basically tell you what's going to happen in the film. Also, trailers are cut that way, to be fair. Some of them are, to tell you what's happening, and then purposely, actually. And then he added, we consume too much content, so at our disposal are lots of different shots that aren't in the movie that we can manipulate through CG to tell a story that we want to specifically tell for the purpose of the trailer and not for the film. So they've talked about the scales of the marketing. The most important thing to them is to preserve the surprise, which is great. Yeah. I think we all want that. And they said they're trying to replicate the experience they did with Infinity War. An example in Infinity War was there was a shot of, I think it was the Hulk running away from the other Avengers.
Well, it's the big group shot of everybody running toward the camera. That was not
fake trailer news. So I just think this is a great strategy. I don't want to go into every single movie knowing every single beat. So cool, Dan.
Yeah, thoughts? I mean, they've been doing this since Civil War. The big group shot of them running toward each other did not have Spider-Man in it because they wanted to save that for later for the movie, which I think is cool. I mean, we lived through I remember Star Wars jacket speculation. The shot of look, it was the shot of Rey crying. And people were like, look at the bottom, it's fuzz. Is that someone's jacket? Look at this shot. Someone was wearing a jacket. Or is it fur? Is it Chewie? Yeah. Is it someone? Is it the fuzz or someone? What is it? Who is? So they know.
Did they kill Chewie and make it into a jacket?
It's like they know what audiences are going to do. Yeah. I like that I don't know anything about this movie. Some people want to know everything about a movie walking in. I don't. I like that they're able to make a good trailer that tell me what's going on in the movie.
Yeah, I appreciate a intentional Easter egg when it's there, very much just a nod to I see you. But when it's reaching for something like the jacket or the corner of something, that's when I completely understand cutting a completely different trailer. Because I do like thinking of a trailer of a separate entity as the final cut of the movie itself. It's the first introduction that you get, and I want to be surprised. There is a lot of content out there, and we're starting to put together storylines. We're all kind of TV writers ourselves because we can get the tone and pace. I mean, aren't we? But yeah, I actually love this idea.
Yeah, so speaking of that raises a good question, which is I, like you, just from sort of the post-credit scene in Captain Marvel and the trailers, have already started writing a storyline for myself around Endgame. Do you have storylines? Do you have a favorite one, Ed, so far? Fake storyline?
No, you know what? I'm a real psycho because I've avoided even watching this trailer. Even knowing that it was only based on the 15 minutes and knowing a little bit about this manipulation.
We have brought you on to discuss this trailer, sir.
I tried to watch it, and then my girlfriend watched it in the other room, and I heard all the audio, so I was like, okay, I might as well watch it. So it got me, but I was fighting hard. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just feel like overall, people think that trailers recently got broken, but I've watched trailers from 1956, and they'll tell the whole story.
Yeah.
Because people were like, I got 5 cents.
Yeah.
I can spend 5 cents this week on a movie. I ain't spending it on no Boulder Dash. I'm going to go see something good.
Yeah.
So trailers have always told too much. I'm very happy about this innovation. And as far as, I think people should, fandom, we're all like she said, writers.
Yeah.
But sometimes we just make up a story in your head that nobody can duplicate.
Yeah.
So then you're mad, and next thing you know, you're telling everybody that we should redo The Last Jedi and try to raise a bunch of money. You know what I mean? Next thing you know, you're in that rabbit hole of like, whoa, I'm better than all these professional filmmakers with the sanction of a giant company. I'm better with my fanfic head. Ugh, it's just kind of disgusting.
I just
Got a lot more
applaud.
giant about 12 hours ago.
I just want to applaud your use of Balderdash first and foremost.
I felt like it was period.
Yeah, no, it fit thematically. But I will say this, and I don't know about you, I still enjoy the experience of fanficking things and accepting that my version isn't going to be real. I just feel like now, you have multiple versions sometimes with a book and a movie, different versions. And I think that I actually believe in adaptations being appropriate to the medium.
Well, this is one thing I do think in my fanfic head. I think Captain Marvel will be a weakness in the new movie because she has Tesseract stuff in her. I think whoever has the stones, whatever way the stones still exist, whatever way the stones still exist, whatever way the stones still exist, I think they might interact with her particular power set and nerf her. A bunch, maybe, to where she's not this savior of everybody. She's going to have to be a member of the team that still has to prove herself, which I think would do a lot of people good.
Yeah. And I'm going to do this because if we're going to talk about Captain Marvel spoilers, but go ahead.
Got it. Yes. I love the fun of speculation, but there's been this thing where it's like the fun of speculation, like where like you and I will talk and we'll be like, oh, wouldn't this storyline be great? Versus like what you were saying, which is it didn't happen, therefore I'm angry about it.
Yeah.
And restricting some of that information not only helps from like a storytelling standpoint, but also kind of restricts just how much speculation can happen.
Right.
And there's been way too many historical examples of a trailer giving away too much. Wasn't it The Descent that put like the last 10 seconds of the movie
I certainly
in
hope
the
that's
trailer?
not true.
Did
it? I didn't see. I
Like,
saw The Descent completely.
Quarantine, maybe too.
those were 2 movies that had the actual like very last moments of the movie, the last 10 seconds of the movie.
Jurassic World did
in the trailer.
Jurassic World absolutely did.
Yeah.
It had like the postscript scene. Remember?
Oh yeah,
in
the
trailer.
Fallen Kingdom. Yeah, it had the very
Fallen
last
Kingdom,
scenes in the movie.
And
in the
as a
trailer.
movie watcher, it feels like you just got scraps sold back to you.
I think that's the difference. Is sometimes
I'll do this because we're not doing spoilers.
But even like putting footage that's not in a trailer, like there's this way of doing it, which is like we're selling the movie. We're not necessarily selling you this thing that's this shot that's going to be in the movie 100%. But I think sometimes studios use it like Prometheus, Alien, whatever, Covenant. Was that the last one?
Yeah.
There were shots in the trailer that sold a different movie than what it was.
Completely
Like the
different
one
movie.
where they look up and the alien comes down at you like right at the camera. It's like, okay. It's like, but then it's not that at all. I think that's a little bit different. So sometimes I think there's stuff in the trailer that they put in there to trick you.
Yeah.
And to say like, horror movies do this all the time. They'll put scares that aren't in the movie to make a movie look scarier than it is, and you see the movie, you're like, this is awful. Why did I go see it?
Or
Looking at you, the
Mother. Mother was selling in the marketing materials. Darren Aronofsky's movie was selling a completely different experience than what you were actually going to get. To be fair, the actual experience is very hard to market. It is, but that was very frustrating to me about that movie.
I think there's a difference there between this and that.
Well, I also think that there should be some kind of trailer rules of conduct.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In any game, there are rules. You can't just run around with the basketball. You got to dribble it, right? So how about you show like you can only show like 4 frames of anything from second act or later.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's where we get those little quick hits like, oh damn, was that Angelina Jolie in a chasm? How did they get there? I don't know. But with Wanted, I was like, oh, she gets on the train, and the train goes in the chasm. As soon as the train comes, I'm like, oh, I would have waited for this broad to fall down this chasm. And it's like, it ruined everything. You're waiting for this action. You're waiting for this set piece. You've seen the wick get lit, and you're waiting for the set piece. I haven't watched the John Wick trailer, by the way.
Oh, it's amazing.
Oh,
no, I highly
John
recommend.
Wick.
I heard that there was samurai on bikes, and I was like, I don't need to see that. I made it up in my mind.
The movie. I do I agree with you, Dan, and I think it's an important distinction that, thematically, even though that shot of them running wasn't in the film, that's what the film feels like.
It's still the tone.
Yeah.
So I think that's okay if they're tricking us.
And that worked with me as like a super Hulk fan. I was like super disappointed, but it set up in my another thing I think, and a lot of people think is going to happen in the next one is super smart Hulk. It's always been part of canon that at one point his Brannerness melds with his Hulkness.
You are thinking so much more about this than you indicated at the start of our conversation.
I'm a comic book fan, I think that they're definitely going to have smart Hulk. He's having these conversations with Hulk. Hulk doesn't want to come out. Hulk gets broke off because he's stupid and can't fight. I took some combat lessons with Captain America. My intellect driving your body. We could whoop Thanos' ass. Okay, and he's this super smart Hulk with glasses and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet something like
that.
that's going to happen, and I think it'll be really cool because it'll be one of the first times I've ever given Hulk more than short shrift in these movies, frankly.
Well, since we're talking about the things that we want to see, which I've agreed with Ed on both of those so far, one is that I don't want a Deus Captain Marvelous.
Deus Ex Marvelous.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Deus Ex Marvelous to show up. And I don't think we will because I believe in the Russo brothers. And it does look like a smart. Is there one thing that you really do want to see in the movie?
Yeah, and I think it's kind of I was just talking about we need to stay away from speculation, but I'm one of those people that are now speculating and excited for maybe the possibility of a Kate Bishop storyline. From the first watch, actually before I even watched the trailer, because my friends know who I am, I woke up to my phone being Avengers trailer, Kate Bishop, maybe, I'm not sure, from 3 different people.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
Texting you?
Just texting me because they were we know who this is for. And while it's still highly speculative and I'm not entirely sure if that's a possibility, I would love to see her on screen.
I feel like with this movie, there's so much to wrap up in terms of this last phase and also the last 10 years of Marvel. There's a part of me that doesn't, I want you to have what you need in life. That's important that I make clear.
But a lot of storylines need to be wrapped first.
That's my point.
Yeah.
I just feel like it needs to focus on closing the door on one thing, and then we start to be able to get a lot of new things. But I do want you to have what you want and need in life.
All I want is what I want in life.
And I want you to have what you want.
Hang out.
You know what else we want, Dan?
What do we want?
We want to talk about the Tarantino trailer.
Yeah.
Because it's on my list. But first, we just want to say, stay tuned. We're going to talk about Tarantino. We're going to talk about Stranger Things. We have coming up this week, I'm doing the call out early. We have an Us review that Dan and I will be doing today. We're going to have a Shazam review this weekend and movie fights with Sasha Pearl Raver, Greg Alba, and Julia Prescott.
Ooh.
Who's going to win?
That is the weirdest combination of energy and
So
personality ever on the show. I have no idea.
I don't know who's going to win, but I know Julia's going to make me smile.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, Julia's got a really interest. She's like the drunken master. Her style is so wild, and then Sasha's just a ball of energy, and Greg is so prepared. Yeah. So that styles make fights, and I think you guys picked a good one.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. I mean, Sasha, I love all 3 of these people, but Sasha's my girl, so I kind of go with Sasha, but also Greg and Julia.
You can't. You cast your die. The die has been cast.
Oh, when you become a senator, we all saw it coming.
No, for sure. Oh my God, I have so many thoughts on that about recent things, but I won't talk about it here for so many obvious reasons. Subscribe to us because we're fun. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's opening on. Do you like that?
I discussed us. We're fun.
Yeah, we're fun. It was both a. What was that, JT?
What happened?
He put that back up for Dan.
I just wanted just so we know that we're not insane right there. First of all,
why is there a lowercase a?
High marks for you. They're giving you an A on that seamless transition.
Thank you. I think it was also my somewhat sad and pathetic plea. Oh, subscribe to us, like us, love us.
Please clap.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we had a lower third. If you're just listening, we had a lower third that just said A. So A+ to you, Dan Murrell. What did you think of the trailer for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
I enjoyed it. I am a fan of Quentin Tarantino's films. I am actually kind of more of a fan of his later movies. I know that's a little controversial, but
I'm right with you on there.
I love Inglourious Bastards. Yep. I love Django. I love Hateful Eight. I like his other movies too, but I think he's I look forward to his movies now than maybe it's because I've seen the older ones more. I don't know, but this looks like so much. It's self-indulgence in a good way, in the sense that he's just like, this is what I like. This is what I like to do, and I'm just going to do that. He's kind of always done that, but, it's really just soaking it in and like just living in it, and I like it.
Yeah, I've also been on that same train. I've preferred a lot of his older movies quite a bit more. There's something about it where when somebody gets to a point in their career where it's like, I don't really have to prove anything to you anymore. Now this is just for me and what I love doing, and it comes through in the actual material. And I'm such a sucker for anything that's like a time capsule to Los Angeles. Like pretty much if you list all of my favorite movies, the thing most of them have in common is just usually like 60s to 70s Los Angeles, or like Singing in the Rain, Swingers, and
I mean, that's 90s, but it was acting like 50s.
Yeah. But like, I'm honestly, it covers like a whole time period.
For you.
But like, if you combine them all, it's just places in LA that aren't open anymore.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Shuttered businesses in Los Angeles.
The entire intro of Swingers is basically me being like, that's closed. That's closed. That's a thrift store.
I feel like there's a supercut for you to make.
Place now.
That's close.
That I would really appreciate seeing.
Well, I mean, when I looked at it, the first thing I thought of was that it seems like Tarantino doing The Nice Guys.
Yeah.
If you guys remember that
love
movie.
The Nice Guys.
Deeply underrated.
Yeah, and I like hang out at the Comedy Store quite a bit, and they shot some of it. It's in a place that's supposed to be like the Comedy Store, and like looking at the different architectural differences, or rather, I don't know, the layout differences, because for the plot expediency and all this jazz. But overall, I really like. Yeah, I agree with the panel. I like him doing what he likes to do. I like him just sort of like, and this one, I mean, if it's about the story we think it's about, it's going to be cruising along. Everybody's talking about Royale with cheeses and getting breakfast and stuff, and then somebody gets horrendously murdered and all that fallout.
That's actually the one thing. Exactly. So that's the one thing that I have a question and B a concern. So when Margot Robbie is playing Sharon Tate, and obviously, and when she's doing her dancing, I love Margot Robbie. First of all, like, I just don't want to see her hurt even fictionally. So I just don't, and like this actually created a lot of tension for me in the trailer, knowing what happened to Sharon Tate. And there is a sort of dissonance or discomfort for me around that story and the tone that it feels like this movie is, which is very Tarantino, sardonic tone, kind of satirizing Hollywood and all in there. And that married with the Manson murders inherently makes me uncomfortable. However, what I think it might be is like with Inglourious Basterds, and I hope it might be like in Inglourious Basterds, where it's sort of a
alternate
history fantasy version of this, in which the Manson murderers and Manson is not successful. That's what I hope it is, and I think that would be really fun and cool and interesting. I'm fanficking Tarantino. That's what I hope it is, because I think if it's the other thing, I would just be so uncomfortable with that. But that's me, not everyone. Like, that's amazing. I love this shot.
This is the second time Leonardo DiCaprio this decade has done this, because Wolf of Wall Street, like that wedding dance in the trailer, and not just in the movie, but in the trailer, was an instant GIF, and now Leonardo DiCaprio has another instant dancing GIF.
I feel
he also had the Gatsby instant GIF.
He's great at putting a trailer.
I feel like he knows exactly what to do for 6 seconds to last as a response in threads on internet throughout time.
In another life, he was a Vine star.
I weirdly think the magic of it is that he's not thinking about it at all. You know what I mean? And then it just is.
Well, it's just like models. Like models, they say like they can just like in their movements, it's just sort of every 6 second clang, bang. Looks,
bang,
it's just like it's subconscious at that point, because he's been on camera so much. It's like coming out of Chateau Marmont at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's just I got 3 models. I'm not quite drunk, but I'm cool. It's like you have to be on stage all the time. So I think he's really good at that.
I feel like his life though can be encapsulated in the Gatsby GIF. Like that is DiCaprio.
Drink up.
That's his life.
Drink up.
Welcome to the party.
Welcome to the party.
What I will say is I did enjoy, like, kind of what you said about Sharon Tate. I did like the shots that they showed of her, and I'm excited to see her portrayed as anything other than her murder. Like, if we can actually see like what her life was up until it, like who because at this point in history, all people know is what happened, and they don't really have like a good clue as, I mean, we do, but I'm thinking about like this current generation. They don't really know anything other than she was a victim of murder, other than like she had a career, and I'm excited to see that played on screen.
Yeah, the whole person traumatized.
The whole person instead of just what happened to her.
And I hope that that's what we get, because it sounds like that this is a movie that's largely focused on this relationship, and then the Manson murders are in kind of the backdrop. So I hope that Sharon Tate does get that kind of an arc.
I just kind of wonder, like, I think it's just as likely that, like, this is going to be a Leo and Brad team up with Bruce Lee as detectives and hunt down Charlie Manson, and Sharon Tate is, like, it's not even a biopic at all. It's just a crazy, zany, alternate history, like, cop movie.
I'm so here for alternate history.
I want all of those.
That was my favorite part about Inglourious Basterds.
Same.
I love alternate history. I love it when we don't have to sit there and... I like it when we can just throw away continuity out the window and be like, you know what? No, this is how it happened. Have this for a fun little nugget when you're chewing on something sad later.
You know, I have no problems with it. And I think Inglourious Basterds does that for a lot of people. I'm not the super biggest fan, but I definitely get what it does for people. That the alternate history, and Brad Pitt was great in it. You know what I mean? And there was a lot of things, you know. There was
everybody was
wonderful,
great
wonderful performances all throughout. Yeah. So he knows how to make movies.
Yeah. I mean, those are the fantasies that we all have. Like, if we could fix life, he's basically saying, like, this is what then we would do, and putting it on screen for us. So it does feel really good to watch. I will say, for his later movies, for me, although I do love them and I really love Inglourious Basterds, they are self-indulgent lengthwise, you know. But good for you.
But I'm there for that ride. Like, hatefully, there's not a second where I was like, this isn't not too much. This is exactly how long I want to be here and immersed in this.
For me, it was like everything before Death Proof, but especially Death Proof was, hey, I love movies, and I'm going to bring my dialogue, and I'm going to replicate the style of all these other different kinds of movies. So, like, I'm replicating this kind of movie. I'm replicating this. I'm going to use this shot. I'm going to use that shot. I'm going to use this shot. And Death Proof to me was like, it's my least favorite Tarantino film, personally, largely because it was him just saying, like, I'm going to remake this kind of movie that I like, but I'm also going to replicate all the flaws of it and all the bad things about it, because it's so cool, and it lost me completely as a viewer. And coming out of that, it was almost like he had to get that out of his way. The action is great, that last action scene. But coming out of Death Proof, he's like, okay, I'm done referencing stuff. And now I know I'm just going to use my voice, and I'm going to do genres that I like and still pay homages, but I'm going to do more of, like, my screenplay, and and less of like, this is a shot from a 1970s Hong Kong action film that I love.
Isn't that cool? The remix.
It's not to throw shade on things like Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, like, those are still great movies, but I really love when he's just like, I'm just gonna go this way.
Full speed, my voice.
Pulp Fiction's still my favorite. I think it's the tightest. I think it's the cleanest and clearest. But in addition to that, you can't sleep as a writer on True Romance. He didn't direct it, but love True Romance. So Stranger Things season 3 coming at us. More of the upside downer, teen angsty upside down. Thoughts on the trailer, thoughts on how much more story. One of the things that I always worry about with Stranger Things is how many more ways can we, like, at what point do you leave this town? You know what I mean? Which I was really glad that they referenced in the trailer, because at a certain point, how many times do you go through something like this that you just change your name and leave? Dan, how quickly?
I don't know. I mean...
4.
Just
throwing a number out there.
Yeah, less than 3, obviously. 3 or fewer. Or 3 or more, I should say. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they like it. They seem to like the adventures. They're terrifying adventures, but, you know, they can't move. It's up to their parents. I would blame the parents, honestly, at this point.
With most movies with kids in peril, I blame the parents.
Well, but that's what I mean. Winona Ryder, at a certain point, it's like, sure, it's financially hard, so that part I get, but at a certain point I was glad that he said, I want you to, I believe he was talking to her, I want you to feel safe and that you can still live in this town, because I know I wouldn't, at a certain point, feel safe.
So that carnival ride, that one that looks like a spaceship top thing, oh boy, did I just get, like, war-style flashbacks of that thing. Have you ever been in one of those?
To what?
There's no seatbelt in it.
Oh, yeah.
That one.
I've fully done that.
It just presses you against the wall.
It presses you against it.
It's so fun.
And the last time I was in one...
And then the floor drops out?
Yeah, and the floor drops out.
Yeah.
And I went to raise my hand to tell the guy, like, this sucks, I want off, but I couldn't get the words out, and I raised my hand and just slapped the guy next to me with all of the centrifugal force of the Gravitron. And oh boy, did that trailer just make me go right back there.
Oh man, I love the Gravitron. I think it's fun, but that sounds sucky.
It's terrifying.
I liked the trailer a lot. I thought it did a really great job of selling this season of the show.
Has any character come? If you had taken me back to like halfway through season 1 and shown me this trailer, what's his last name?
Steve. Steve the Hare. Steve Flock of Seagulls.
Steve
John
Young
Ralphio's
Ravelo.
kid from Parks and Rec. Has any character? I've never come around more on a character than I have.
Oh yeah.
It's like I hate this guy. He's the worst. He's awful. God, I hope he gets eaten by a demigorgon and he deserves to suffer. Now it's just like it's Steve. I love Steve. Steve's great.
Well, I mean, you know what? I gotta say this is one instance where I feel like I was ahead because I was like, there's no way. There's no way this guy sucks this bad. There's no way. Everybody else was so nuanced that I was like, there's no way this dude sucks this bad. And when he, spoilers, becomes like a hero, actual heroic figure.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, I used to date in high school a little bit. I don't know if I ever knew anybody who like, there is definitely a monster at my house. Come over. No.
Yeah.
No, never. And he goes, I have to assume this mantle. She's like, dump me. And these little dudes she knows are in trouble. Who cares? He goes over anyway because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. And
that was in him the whole time. The whole time he was acting douchey. The whole time he was fronting for his friends. All that stuff. You know, there's more cool people out there as long as you get them away from their friends.
Well, they also did a very smart job with Steve of setting it up that he was going to be this 80s trope and then of the jerky guy, and then it was going to be, oh no, the nerds are nice, and they flipped that on its head. But I think what they did even more smartly was the next season introduce an actual D-bag who remained an actual D-bag.
Yes. Yeah, so you can tell the difference.
Not Rob Lowe.
That one, there he is.
There he is.
And it was, when you think you're an alpha douche and a real alpha douche comes around, you're just like, oh, now I know how the nerds feel.
It's like, oh, it's just me, but if you took away all the empathy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I truly, I love that character growth so much. I have never come around on anything as hard as I've come around on Steve. Nutella. That's
sure.
Steve and Nutella.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm glad you came around on Nutella, though.
Thank you.
And one thing I really like about this as well, and people, I don't know if I'm being smart by saying this, but like I believe what's cool about the graduation of the characters just from the trailer, it seems like they've got their own little sub crew of people who think they're cool now. If you recall, they were uber dorks in the beginning. Yeah. Now they have this whole crew of people. It's like, this the Monster Squad. It's like, we know what the monsters are. We have experience in this, buddies. You know what I mean? We have all this monster experience, and you guys have experienced the new monsters. Let us tell you how to survive the monsters. And they're like, yes, Sensei, tell us about the monsters. Even though they're all little kids. But these are battle-hardened Johnny Rico kids. Yeah. You know what I mean? They've been through some stuff.
They're also clearly going to be dealing with the perils of adolescence, and some of them being more interested in progressing and others wanting to stay where they are, which is so true of that age. I feel like there's that tension between your friends that are wanting to stay in this little niche bubble that you've been in, and others wanting to expand and date and do all of the things.
There's a tiny bit of a Bran Stark situation in that it would appear from the trailer, I think Finn Wolfhard is growing up a little quicker than the other kids, so he looks like 2 years older than Dustin and like the rest of the Will Byers. They all look about it, and it's you never know this when you're casting a group of kids, but there always seems like there's one that hits the growth spurt just a little, like 6 months before the other ones, and it looks like that might be the case with this group.
Yeah, Carl went from a baby to being able to beat up his dad in like 2 seconds. It seems like.
But that's also,
and then his little sister remained a baby, which just threw it into even sharper relief. It was very odd.
That's every group, though. It's every group of kids in high. I think that's part of growing up too, and I hope the show maybe kind of leans into that, because I'm at the point where like the monsters are cool, but you've sold me enough on the characters where I'm much more invested in like what are their group dynamics and how are their interactions and how are they maturing and advancing as people, and less so about like we got to fight a monster, and I know that you have to have that in the show, but I like Hopper and I like Joyce and everyone, and that's what I care about at this point, is these characters.
Because like while I really did love the last season and I liked the monster fighting, I did feel a little bit shorted of some of the kid interactions, especially with Elle being gone for so long.
Yes.
For pretty much most of the season. And some of my favorite interactions are her learning how to be a child with other children.
Yeah.
And it looks like I'm actually getting more of that with her I cannot wait until she sees her first Tiffany video.
Oh, when she sees that mall, you can see it in the trailer, she sees the mall, she's like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah. I can get a pretzel and body glitter in the same place.
I just want to. I feel like she's probably more of a Debbie Gibson, but
that's fair.
But that's fair. You could be, because Debbie wrote her own songs, and I feel like Elle is all about that kind of integrity. You know what I mean?
I feel like she has the Tiffany edge. I don't think I think Debbie Gibson's too squeaky clean.
Too square.
Yeah, I think Debbie Gibson's too square for 11.
All right, we'll find out. This is obviously the biggest.
11 was slumming it in the city for like 8 months.
So she's a Debbie Harry gal.
There you go.
There it is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we nailed it. I think this was probably the most important question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Raised by the Stranger Things trailer, and we have sorted it out. So I'm very proud of us. Vanessa, tell the people where to find you.
You can find me on Twitter under @NessGritton, and also for sketches and cool content that I get to submit to, check out Hail Night Church.
Yay! What should people watch, Ed?
They should watch me on ScreenJunkies. And then they should listen to my podcast. This week we had Scott Lobdell on to talk about Professor X. And Nerd Goat is just about people's favorite characters. We get interesting people, talk to them about their favorite characters. So Nerd Goat podcast and @EdGreerDestroys on Twitter.
What should people watch here on ScreenJunkies?
Well, we'll be here later for us, and then I'll be here tomorrow for SJU, and then tomorrow for Movie Fights, then Friday ScreenJunkies, and then Saturday Shazam. So you just stay here or to ScreenJunkies and see one or both or all of us.
Yeah.
Doing whatever we do.
Doing the things.
Yeah.
So hang out here. I will say this, Billy the Business, who is not here today, his niece, like all young kids, watches a lot of YouTube. So apparently she gets off the phone by saying, like and subscribe, which is amazing. And there's so much of me that wants that clip to be our call out to like and subscribe, because nothing else could say it better. But like and subscribe. Bye.
Bye.
Swipe on a magazine.